Bricks and Minifigs is your one-stop shop for all things LEGO. Hit the link below to find a store near you.
Matthew Greene. The build we're talking about today is the Battle of the North Atlantic. It's three-part with a example of the submarine itself. The first one is called Fire 1, Fire 2. The submarine has snuck up on the convoy and is firing at one of the freighters. The second build is the sinking of the St. Regis. Torpedoes have hit, and the St. Regis, a cargo ship in the convoy, is on fire and sinking. Crews escaping by life raft. The fact that I found in the research for this build was that the Merchant Marine had the highest percentage of casualties of any group in World War II. More than the Rangers, more than the submarines, but the Merchant Marines had the most deaths.
Yeah.
The third is the hunter becomes a hunted. Most convoys had escorts, and this is an escort destroyer, Fletcher class, and the escort destroyer is dropping depth charges as the submarine tries to escape. And then a little larger example of the German submarine, the U-boat, is watching over the whole thing.
Now, is this submarine based on a specific one or just kind of a general design of German U-boats?
General design of mid-war German U-boats. By the end of the war, they had done away with the deck guns because it was just too dangerous to come up and fire. So it saved on their fuel by cutting down on drag. And of course, we see that now with modern submarines that they deal with torpedoes and missiles. They don't have any kind of a deck gun on them now.
So what was the research like for this build, and kind of as you laid out the different sections here, how did this kind of come together in your mind?
I started off wanting to do something that's not done a lot of. I mean, there's a lot of D-Day battles, there's a lot of Battle of the Bulges, that sort of stuff. So I said, what can I do that's not overbuilt? So Battle of the North Atlantic seemed like something that was pretty important. The other battles wouldn't have happened if the supplies and the men had not been available for those battles. So I started doing the research and found that there was a critical period in the war when Germany had enough submarines. By the end of the war, Germany had lost about 85% of their submarines. So it was pretty hard on the Kriegsmarine in that area. Then I wanted to tell a story. So the story is in three phases. One, the Germans the aggressor, the effect on the Merchant Marine, freighter ship, and then finally the Allies coming in and in effect exterminating the Kriegsmarine submarine force by the end of the war.
Yeah. Now, one of the really cool techniques is the way you've kind of created immersive underwater scenes here. So take us through the different kind of parts and elements, the way you've built that underwater world.
Yeah, I've done the water before with the spilled water to create a place for the sailing ships or Navy ships to plow through. But in creating underwater, I wanted to get that same sort of feel of in the middle of the ocean, not on the ocean floor. In doing the above water, unfortunately, LEGO does not make a Translite Blue plate, so I had to use an off-brand for the Translite Blue plates. But other than that, everything's LEGO.
And then how did you get those pieces stacked up for the back walls back there?
Built a trans-clear brick wall as the back with panel on the front, clear panels on the front, and then I filled it with water to carry that idea forward.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And then what's the challenges of building kind of at this scale with both the destroyer and the submarine here? What were kind of the main elements you were hoping to capture?
The size was the first one. I had to be true to the destroyer because the destroyer was built first. So I had to say, how can I build the submarine so it is appropriate scale size to the, and they're pretty close. Submarines are a little larger than it should be, but within the limitations of LEGO, I can't carve the pieces down. It stays pretty true.
Yeah. You've got to use some really small pieces to capture the details over here. So things like the gun barrels and some of these small details. What types of elements did you use there?
Screwdrivers. Used some of the buoys from the lifeguard scenes for the lifeboats. Surfboards are for the captain ships. So, yeah, using different pieces. The smoke is similar to what I've done in Pearl Harbor. So, same type of idea.
And then moving over to the larger scale submarine, when you're building at this scale, does that kind of give you a lot more opportunity to include kind of more parts of the sub?
Absolutely. Yeah, you can do a lot more with it. You can get a lot more contouring of it.
Yeah.
The deck gun can be a lot more intricate. You can put an anti-aircraft gun on the back, so it was a lot easier to build once you got to a larger scale.
Well, this is a really neat idea. I guess the final thing we haven't talked about is the ship that's sinking here. So you saw a little bit of smoke earlier, but this really kind of takes it to the next level.
Right. The hardest thing on the boat was getting it to tilt on the side without crashing into the water. Getting the balance right so that it didn't completely fall over on its side. Lego has a tendency to want to continue going once it gets started. So it's probably best viewed squinted in your eyes. Focus on the ships and focus on the lifeboats and let the ship in the back be sort of a backdrop for you.
Yeah. And we've seen some really incredible examples of historic builds from you in the past. What are your plans for the future, either with the kind of battle for the North Atlantic or other time periods in the future?
Next military build will probably be the battle for Crete.
Okay.
I've got to figure out, though, how to build vertically. I've got to have the German transport planes flying above paratroopers, which are coming down from above on to British soldiers. So I'm probably going to have to build a backdrop that supports everything going vertically. So that's going to be an interesting figure out how to build weight time thing. But I think it'll be a fun build. And again, a build that we don't see built much. Did North Africa, Al Alamein a few years ago. So I thought, well, maybe I'll pick it up and take the first mass paratroop attack in history with the invasion of Crete by the Germans.
Yep. That'll be awesome to see how that comes together for you. So thank you so much for all your work here and taking us through the builds.
Hey, you bet. Thanks you guys for letting me show my work.